Hello, my name is Claudette Mackenzie, and I would like you to be a girl like me.
What do you do for a living?
Okay, for a living, like I said before, I'm very career driven. I'm a Rec Aid Fort Benning, U.S. Army. I also own a eBay account where I sell used clothing. I also, on the weekends, when I do not work, I work every other weekends, I go to the flea market, Lee County Flea Market, and I set up and I sell used clothing, I sell movies, I sell perfumes, anything you can find, I sell that. Also, I'm also a full-time student, and I'm also an intern at the district attorney's office as a social media person.
Wow, very nice. How did you get started? Like, what are some of your passions that led you to even just go back to school, for example? Like, what are some passions that made you want to go back to school?
The passion that drove me to go back to school was I was in a domestic violence situation for over 10 years, and I had no education. And I stayed because I felt like if I leave, like who's going to take care of me? So I stayed in that relationship. But once, I had two children in that same relationship, and I see how the children were reacting, I decided like I have to go back to school. I have to get an education. So I seek help. There's different resources in the neighborhood that I went to, and I found out I could go back to school, get my GED. And then once I started learning, I become really, really passionate. I was learning a lot of information, and I was becoming like very, very empowered as a woman. Like, wait a minute, I didn't have to stay because I could educate myself and do something better. So ever since then, and this was in I don't remember what year it was over 5 or 6 years ago, I've been very passionate about educating myself because I really don't want another young lady to go through what I go through, because I see I stayed because I have no education, and I'm assuming a lot of other young ladies stayed because of the security of the finance. They don't have that money or whatever is going on. You never know why a person stay, but I feel like I have to educate myself so in turn I could go out there and educate people that they can leave. They don't have to stay like I did. So
That's very, very motivational. For any of those women or girls who are in that situation, could you tell us a little bit about those resources and how did you find those?
There's a lot of different resources out there, and I think a lot of people in domestic violence relationship, they don't hear about it because domestic violence is something people are ashamed of. It's like only mentioned through muffled walls. A lot of people don't talk about it. So, like the Human Resource Building downtown, they have a lot of resources down there. They have food stamp. If you're pregnant, they have WIC. They could help you find a job. They have TANF where they could help you with bills. If you take the bus, they also have mileage that they give you so you'll be okay. And also we have a shelter, Hope Harbor Shelter, which I stayed at that shelter, I think, for a good 3 weeks. I can't remember. It's been a while. And I was pregnant at the time when I was at the shelter. And they will take you in and they will help you. They'll help you fill out paperwork to get an apartment with the same things that I talk about. And they also, when you leave the shelter, they empower you. They have different places. I'm not sure when the neighborhood these places are that will get you furniture. They will get you bedding. They will get you clothing. They will get you pots and pans, anything that you need. So don't ever feel like there's nothing out there for you. There's always help out there. You just have to research and find it. So
It's very, very good information.
yeah.
And I remember we discussed before,
Yeah.
you are not a native of the U.S. Can you tell us where you're from?
Okay. I was born in the beautiful island of Antigua.
Ooh.
It's 108 square miles. I'm not sure how many people live there, but because I've left like when I was a teenager. I am now not going to say my age because I look very young, but I'm now a full-grown adult. But I'm from that country. The people there, they're very, very nice. We have 365 beaches. That's it.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about some differences between Antigua and the United States? Like, is it, like how is it? What are some different things?
And I would say some differences that I noticed, like even when I first arrived to America, Not in a bad way, but back home, you know, the people, the women, they have a lot of children back home. It's just something that's naturally, and the village, you know how people always say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, back home, I'm telling you, like my mom have 10 children. I'm the oldest. She worked. And
wow.
the neighbors make sure that we're okay. They make sure that we have food. They make sure that we have everything we need to get to school until she come home. I remember my grandmother. She's my role model, and she's been bedridden for over 14 years. She had a heart attack and a stroke. But I remember when she cooked in the afternoon, she would send food out to the neighbors, and I would be the one to go around from house to house, like packing bags of food and giving it to the elderly people who couldn't even walk or move. I would open up their door, go in, set the food up for them, and just go to the next house and do the same thing. So I think I haven't seen that here with the neighbors here in America doing stuff like that, and I miss it. I love America, don't get me wrong, but I wish America was like that, where, you know, like everybody get together and help the next person. I really, that's the difference that I noticed. Everything else about America, I love it. So
where do you see yourself in the future? You're studying at a local university. What would you like to do with that career?
I'm a comms major, communications and public relation, and I see myself when I graduating, hopefully, and I pray, it's opening up a domestic violence shelter. And if I cannot do that, I want to be a motivational speaker for victims of any crime, but especially domestic violence. Or if I can't do that, just bringing awareness, just helping victims. That's my passion. My passion is helping people, whether you're homeless, whatever is going on. I just see me in my life helping people. That's all I'm passionate about. So,
very nice.
Yeah.
And what advice would you like for girls to know about considering, you know, like you said, your passion, being inspired to really help those who probably, you know, don't know where to find those resources or can't help themselves? What is some of your advice for girls that are trying to seek out their passions and their purpose?
My advice to young girls who are, you know, trying to seek out their passions is don't give up. I'll tell you why. I was 40 when I went back to school. I was on 6th grade level reading, probably, if I'm not mistaken, 4th grade math, and I never give up. I was cleaning bathrooms, and I was like, this is not the life for me. And to young girls, that's not the life for you. You stay in school, you listen to your parents, you try. If you fail, you get up and you try again. Don't ever quit. Quitting is not quitting is not an option. Just keep trying, and don't matter what nobody tell you. If they tell you you're too dark, you're too light, you're too fat, you're too dumb, don't listen. Just pray to God and just ask God to guide you, and you will be okay.